Hi, welcome to Love Talk Q&A, the place to get your questions answered about finding and keeping the love of your life. I'm Stefan Gonick, Soulmate Attraction Mentor and founder of the Soulmate Attraction Academy from singletosoulmate.me. Now in this episode of Love Talk Q&A, I'm going to be talking about something that's really important. That is how to deepen or even save your relationship using verbal appreciations. Now I just said this is very important. This is very near and dear to my heart. And so why is that? Well, the reason is that having a successful relationship is actually difficult. And most people do not succeed. You know, if you look at in the United States, the percentage of marriages that fail, that end in divorce, is 50%. And when you look at the other 50% of people that stay together, half of them are unhappy. So that means that only 25% out of 75% of marriages are actually successful. They're happy. So the great majority of people, they're not happy. So people have done research to try and understand, why this is. And there's a lot of different factors that go into it. They talk about having good communication and problem solving and negotiations, all these different things. But there's also a particular factor that is a very big indicator as to whether or not a couple is going to have a happy marriage or a unhappy, unsuccessful one. And in fact, you can determine this factor just by observing a couple for an hour, right? Just 1 hour of observing a couple will give you a really good indication of what's going to happen for them or where they're heading. And that is the ratio of positive interactions versus negative interactions. Okay? And what they determine through research is that there needs to be 7 times as many positive interactions as negative ones. Now, why might that be hard to do? Okay, you think, well, I love my partner, so I'm imagining I'm doing 7 times as many. And remember, that's at least 7 times. It'd be great if it was even more than that. Well, the challenge for people is that if you've been in a relationship for a long time, a lot of negative energy can build up, right? There's even no matter how wonderful your partner is, there's going to be certain behaviors that are like irritating, right? It's like, I have to accept it as part of the package. I love my partner and, he's a wonderful husband or a wonderful wife, but there's there's a few little things here and there that just bug me and they're just irritating. So there's a little negative energy there. Or you might have some issue in your life, in your marriage or your relationship that you haven't worked through, and it's this stressor in the background. There's a lot of things, and there's also just the idea of taking your partner for granted, and you're kind of going on autopilot, just coasting along. And in the early phase of your relationship, there's a lot of I love yous and all this other stuff. But over time, that stuff can start diminishing. And from a place of being irritated, from a place of taking your partner for granted, a lot of different things can lead to fewer positive interactions and more negative ones. And it starts to just degrade the relationship. It starts getting, worse and worse, and you start feeling less and less good in your relationship or marriage. So we want to challenge that trend. We want to do things to reverse that trend and to bring out more positive stuff and reduce the negative. And so there's 2 ways to do this. Well, there's a lot of different ways, but I'm going to share a particular method that's going to address that in 2 ways, really. And that is doing verbal appreciations. And using verbal appreciations is going to, like I say, it's going to have 2 different impacts on your marriage or relationship. So the idea is you make this a daily practice of giving each other verbal appreciations. And the easiest way to do it is actually pick a specific time every day that you're going to do this. It might seem a little artificial or something that we're picking this time to do this thing. But a lot of couples complain about that kind of thing, that we're doing this artificial thing. And yet the natural thing, unfortunately, is for things to slowly get worse over time. So the natural method tends to not work well 75% of the time, right? The natural method doesn't work. So sometimes we have to do these intentional, not so natural seeming things to reverse that trend so that we can be in that 25% group, which I hope that you would want to be in. I know I do. So you pick a time every day and you take turns telling each other things you appreciate about them. Okay, so this is going to have two benefits. One is the appreciation, this thing that you like or appreciate about your partner, is going to be adding to the, the positive interaction column, right? It's supposed to be 7 times as many positive exchanges versus negative exchanges. So saying some appreciations, that's going to be increasing the number of positive exchanges that day, right? So it's going to have an obvious direct benefit right there. We're increasing the positive number. But it's also going to help with the negative number, because when we give each other appreciations, in the act of appreciating our partner, just saying them to our partner, it opens our heart to our partner, and we get in touch with those things that we actually really appreciate about our partner, things that we love about our partner. So, like I said, there's that natural tendency to start taking our partner for granted over time, but appreciating each other each day gets you back in touch with those things that you really like or love about your partner. So it's going to make you appreciate them more and open your heart to your partner. And likewise, when you're receiving an appreciation, that feels really good. It helps you feel more loved, right? That feeling of being loved by our partner, again, can also fade with time because taking each other for granted and we're not as expressive of our love over time. But hearing an appreciation, something that our partner likes or loves about us, that helps us feel more loved. So as we feel more loved and more open-hearted and connected with our partner, then those irritations, those little irritating traits and things they do, aren't going to bother us as much. So we're not going to be as irritated. And the fact that there's some unresolved issue, this is going to help balance that out more. So it's going to increase the positive energy in our relationship. There are couples where their relationship was failing, right? They went to couples counseling because their relationship was in major trouble. They were heading towards divorce. And they did a bunch of different things to try and address that. But this daily appreciation thing was a huge help along those lines. It really helped them save their marriage. So appreciations are a really great way to deepen the connection you have and to potentially save your relationship or marriage by taking things on an upward trend instead of on a downward trend, which they tend to do naturally, unfortunately. Now, I want to say a little bit about how to do appreciations, because this can actually catch people up, especially if you're in a place where you're not feeling that great. If your relationship is a little rocky or iffy, it's even more important to do it, but it can be harder to do it because I'm not feeling that great towards my partner right now, right? So here's practically how you want to give appreciations. First of all, you don't want to keep going back and forth. I say one, you say one, I say one. Because if you do that, what you'll tend to do is think about, okay, while I'm listening to your appreciation, I'm going to be thinking about the next one that I'm going to say to you back. So then you don't really receive it, right? So it's better to say, okay, we're going to agree how many we're going to do in advance. It could be as simple, if you're doing it daily, all you have to do is around 3. That's all it needs to be. If you don't do it quite daily, then you might want to do a little bit larger number. So you agree in advance, okay, we're going to do 3 appreciations. One person is going to start being the giver of the appreciations. The other person is going to be the receiver. As the receiver, we want to focus on just taking it in, just really taking it in, which can be challenging for a lot of people. A lot of people have a hard time with appreciations and compliments. So you might notice that as you're hearing them, they kind of sound good to your mind, but you're not feeling it deeply in your heart. So that's what you want to focus, is like, okay, I want to really try and take this in. When I'm the receiver, I'll even breathe it in. So my partner, my wife will tell me something she appreciates about me, and I'll go, really try and take it in as deeply as I can. And sometimes if I feel like, okay, I'm not receiving it, I'll say, could you say that one again? I need to hear it again so I can really try and take it in. So as the receiver, that's your goal, is to really receive, really try and take it in. As the giver, you want to get in touch with things that you really like or love or appreciate about your partner, and then say them. And then how you say it, though, is important. One of the things that we can do that kind of sabotages appreciations is to say them in a way that sounds conditional. You want to word your appreciation in a way that sounds unconditional. And sometimes people get caught up with this because they think, well, there's this thing that you do that I like, but you don't do it all the time. So they might say, I really like it when you do such and such. You can use the word appreciate or like or love You know, you don't have to, you can say it any way you want, but you don't want to say it conditionally. Like for instance, here's a conditional way of saying appreciation. I like that you can be funny, right? That you can be something. I like that you can be kind. You can be this, you can be that. When we hear what sounds like a conditional appreciation, all we feel is the condition. It doesn't feel very good. You know, it's like I say, it's hard for us to receive appreciation. So if you say this in any way that sounds conditional or iffy or part of the time, what we're tending to pick up more is the conditional aspect of it rather than the appreciation. So you need to find a way to say it that's unconditional. So like I could change, I like that you can be funny, to I love your sense of humor, right? Because of course I'm not gonna be funny all the time. And even when I try and be funny, or the other person, right? Sometimes they're not funny, right? It's like I'm trying to be funny right now, but it's falling flat. On the other hand, I love your sense of humor. You know, that I can say unconditionally. You know, I love your kindness rather than I love that you can be kind. You see what I mean? So you want to do unconditional sounding appreciations. Now the appreciations could be something that the person did for you. It could be something about their appearance. It could be something about a quality that they have as a person. Like, you know, I appreciate, like the kind one, like I appreciate how kind you are. You're such a kind person. Or I appreciate how smart you are. I appreciate how funny you are. I appreciate, you know, it could be qualities of the person as an individual. Or you could appreciate, you know, the energy you feel between us. Like, you know, I just really love how we can do the simplest thing like going shopping and it's fun when we do it together. Or I appreciate how we have these really stimulating conversations and, you know, never run out of things to talk about, or, you know, things like that. So there's a lot of different things you can appreciate, and it could be a small thing, it can be a medium thing, it can be a really big thing. You know, if you're doing this on a daily basis, you know, you might feel this pressure, like I have to come up with these big appreciations, you know. It doesn't have to be big. It can be relatively small. You can just say, you know, I really like your hairstyle today. You know, I really like how your hair looks. It's really nice, very pretty, or very handsome, or whatever it is, right? Or it could be, I so appreciate how when I was exhausted, you know, you volunteered to take the kids away so that I can have some time to rest. You know, this wonderful thing you did for me. As, you know, and it could be something that just happened recently, or it could be, you know, some big thing that's always present as part of your marriage or relationship. So there's lots of different things you can appreciate, and it's okay to sometimes come back and repeat some, you know. It doesn't always have to be even something new. It's the sincerity that you express, or how sincere you are as you express it, that feels good to the other person, even if they've heard it before, you know. So if you make this a regular practice, you will make your relationship better. It will deepen the love connection. It'll help you be more open-hearted with each other. If your relationship is going downhill, it'll help it come back up again. If your relationship's going fine, it'll be really fine, right? It'll be better and better. So this appreciation thing is a big deal. You know, you want to get that ratio of good exchanges to negative exchanges above 7 to 1, right? And the appreciation is a good way of doing that. So if you find this helpful, it'd be wonderful to find out by clicking the like button. That feels really good when people do that. And if you have any comments, I'd love to get them in below, and I respond to all my comments. And I will see you on the next episode of Love Talk Q&A. Also, if you would like to understand the 3 key blocks to finding love and how to attract your soulmate now, sign up for the free Finding the Love You Want mini course. Well, thank you for hanging out with me, and remember, no matter how long you've been trying, you really can have the life and love you long for.